You know the line, with great power comes great responsibility. But do you remember where it all began? For one nerdy high school kid, Peter Parker, it started with a single bite from a genetically altered spider. Suddenly, he wasn't just Peter anymore. He could climb walls, sense danger, and had superhuman strength. It was a dream come true, a power fantasy. He saw dollar signs, a chance to impress the girl next door, Mary Jane Watson. But a moment of selfish pride, letting a robber escape because it wasn't his problem, would change his life forever. That same robber, minutes later, took the life of the man who raised him. His Uncle Ben. One missed chance, one murdered man, and a lesson that would haunt Peter for the rest of his days. The weight of that guilt became the forge for a hero. Peter donned a homemade suit, embracing his powers, not for fame or fortune, but to honor the man he lost. He became Spider-Man, a symbol of hope for New York City, driven by the promise he made to himself to use his power for good, no matter the cost. This was the birth of our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. But every hero needs a villain, and Peter's first great challenge came from an unexpected place. Norman Osborn, the brilliant but ruthless father of his best friend, Harry, was a man obsessed with success. Desperate to save his company, he tested an experimental performance enhancer on himself. The formula granted him incredible strength, but it fractured his mind, unleashing a malevolent alter ego, the Green Goblin. Riding a glider and armed with pumpkin bombs, the Goblin terrorized the city. Seeing Spider-Man not as a hero, but as a rival to be crushed, their battle was personal. The Goblin discovered Spider-Man's identity, attacking his Aunt May and putting Mary Jane in mortal danger. It was a twisted game of cat and mouse, forcing Peter to fight the father of his best friend. In their final brutal confrontation, Norman was impaled by his own glider. His last act was to beg Peter not to tell Harry, creating a secret that would poison their friendship and sow the seeds for future tragedy. Peter had won, but the victory felt hollow, leaving him more isolated than ever. Just when Peter thought he could balance his life, a new threat emerged. Dr. Otto Octavius, a scientist Peter admired, was on the brink of a breakthrough in fusion power, but a demonstration went horribly wrong. An explosion fused for sentient mechanical arms to his spine and killed his beloved wife. The accident shattered his mind, and the AI in the arms began to corrupt his will. He became Dr. Octopus, or Doc Ock, a tragic figure driven to rebuild his machine at any cost. His path of destruction led him straight to Spider-Man. Doc Ock was a formidable opponent, his mechanical limbs overwhelming Peter in their first few encounters. This, coupled with the immense personal strain of being Spider-Man, caused Peter to lose his powers. He gave up the suit, trying to live a normal life. He finally had a chance with MJ. His grades improved, and life seemed simpler. But a hero's duty is never truly done. As Doc Ock rebuilt his machine, threatening to swallow the city, Peter knew he couldn't stand by. He had to get his powers back. The fire, the danger, the screams of the innocent, it all reignited the hero within him. The climax arrived on a runaway train, hurtling towards a dead end. In a moment of pure desperation and incredible strength, Spider-Man used his own body and every ounce of webbing to stop the train, saving everyone on board. He collapsed from exhaustion, unmasked and vulnerable. But the people he saved didn't see a monster. They saw a hero, a kid. They saw Peter Parker. In a beautiful moment, they protected his identity, handing him back his mask. It proved who Spider-Man really was, not just a symbol, but a part of the city he protected. The battle with Doc Ock wasn't over. Peter confronted him one last time, not just with fists, but with words. He reached the man inside the monster, reminding Otto of his dream to help humanity, not destroy it. In a final act of redemption, Otto Octavius regained control, sacrificing himself to sink his deadly experiment into the river, saving New York and finding peace. Peter had not only saved the city, but redeemed a fallen soul, but his personal life was still in chaos. At his wedding to another man, Mary Jane finally realized she couldn't live without Peter. She left her fiancé at the altar and ran to Peter's apartment, telling him she wanted to face the dangers with him. For a brief moment, it seemed like Peter Parker could finally have it all. But happiness is fleeting. A new darkness was brewing, both from outside and within. Harry Osborn, believing Spider-Man murdered his father, took up the Goblin mantle, seeking revenge. Meanwhile, Flint Marko, a small-time crook, stumbled into a particle accelerator and was transformed into the Sandman. And then, a meteorite crashed to Earth, carrying an alien symbiote. This black, goo-like organism found a host in Peter Parker, bonding with him and creating a sleek, powerful, new black suit. At first, the suit felt like a gift. It enhanced his powers, making him stronger and faster than ever. But it came with a terrible price. Power without control is a corrupting force. The symbiote amplified his aggression, his arrogance, and his thirst for revenge. This darker Peter pushed Mary Jane away, humiliated his rivals, and reveled in his newfound power. The suit fed on his anger, especially after he learned a shocking truth. Flint Marko, the Sandman, was the one who actually killed his Uncle Ben. Consumed by a desire for vengeance, Peter hunted Marko down, seemingly killing him in a brutal subway fight. This was not the hero he was meant to be. He was becoming the very thing he fought against. The turning point came when he lashed out and struck Mary Jane in a moment of rage. Seeing the fear in her eyes, Peter was horrified by what he'd become. He fled to a church bell tower, desperate to rid himself of the alien parasite. The powerful sound of the bells weakened the symbiote, allowing Peter to tear it from his body. But the symbiote wasn't done. It fell onto Eddie Brock, a disgraced rival photographer who held a deep grudge against both Peter and Spider-Man. United by their shared hatred, they became Venom, a monstrous and terrifying version of Spider-Man. The finale was a storm of betrayal, loss, and difficult choices. Venom and Sandman teamed up, kidnapping Mary Jane to lure Spider-Man into a final battle. Overmatched, Peter found an unlikely ally, Harry Osborn, having learned the truth about his father's death from his butler, soared in as the new Goblin to help his old friend. The battle was epic, but it came at a devastating cost. Harry sacrificed his own life to save Peter from Venom, dying in his friend's arms. In the end, Peter defeated Venom by exploiting the symbiote's weakness to sound. But his journey wasn't about winning fights. It was about learning the hardest lessons. He looked at Flint Marko, the Sandman, and saw not a monster, but a desperate father trying to save his sick daughter. He saw the man who killed his uncle, but instead of revenge, he chose forgiveness. He forgave Marko, and in doing so, he began to forgive himself. The trilogy ends not with a triumphant victory, but with a quiet, bittersweet moment. Peter and Mary Jane, scarred but together, share a dance, ready to face an uncertain future. He had lost his best friend, faced the darkness in his own heart, and learned that a true hero's greatest strength isn't power, but compassion, forgiveness, and the will to keep going, no matter what. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this recap, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more deep dives into your favorite stories.